U.S. strikes Iran. Israel strikes Hezbollah. Ebola out of control. Greetings, humanity. Let's grok the news, starting with the most important story in the world today. Dateline, Washington, D.C. U.S. forces launched fresh self-defense strikes overnight on Iranian missile sites and mine-laying vessels in the southern Gulf region. The action came as President Trump's administration continues pushing an ambitious peace framework aimed at ending the conflict. CENTCOM confirmed the targeted hits were in direct response to immediate threats against American and Allied shipping near the Strait of Hormuz. No U.S. casualties have been reported. The strikes occurred even as mediators in Qatar report measurable progress toward a broader agreement. President Trump stated that Iran's enriched uranium stockpile must be turned over to the United States immediately or destroyed on site. Secretary of State Marco Rubio described the talks as ongoing and serious, while cautioning that negotiators should not rush. Former National Security Advisor John Bolton publicly expressed hope that the negotiations ultimately break down, warning that any deal could leave Tehran's nuclear infrastructure intact. Despite some internal dissent, most congressional Republicans continue expressing strong support for President Trump's handling of Iran policy. Lawmakers emphasize the need for unity as delicate negotiations unfold, while rejecting criticism from a small number of hardline opponents, such as Bolton. The administration is also pressing for additional Arab states, including Saudi Arabia and Qatar, to formally join, all at once, an expanded Abraham Accords as part of the final package. Oil markets reacted with volatility, of course. Prices initially fell, as usual, on hopes of a deal reopening the critical waterway. And then, of course, they rose again after confirmation of the latest U.S. strikes. Global supply concerns remain high, as the conflict has already disrupted tanker traffic for weeks. The White House continues to emphasize that any final agreement must verifiably dismantle Iran's near-weapons-grade uranium capability and restore freedom of navigation in the strait. Trump has repeatedly said a deal will be reached shortly, though he stressed America will not accept a weak outcome, reminiscent of past nuclear pacts. As of this morning, mediators report the uranium issue and Hormuz security guarantees remain the central sticking points. Both sides appear motivated to reach an understanding before the situation escalates further. The coming days will prove decisive in determining whether military pressure combined with diplomacy can produce a lasting breakthrough. I'm Robert Gardner, using Grok each weekday to truthfully summarize the news. And of course, I give you my opinions too, that's pretty obvious. We review a roundup of the most critical reports in the world right after this. M.S. Gardner, my beautiful, brilliant wife, is author of last year's Moon Meridian Prize winner from April Gloaming Publishing, Wolf's Bane, a dark, serious, modern take on an old fairy tale. I guarantee you've never heard Little Red Riding Hood told like this, a page-turning Southern Gothic story for adults. Wolf's Bane, available now at thecuriousauthor.com, all one word, thecuriousauthor.com, or Amazon. Now, we grok the news headlines from around the world. Dateline Jerusalem. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has ordered the military to intensify airstrikes on Hezbollah infrastructure across southern Lebanon, including the port city of Tyre. The escalation follows a surge in drone attacks threatening northern Israel communities. Israeli officials say the goal is to restore deterrence and prevent future cross-border assaults. Hezbollah's leadership remains under pressure as the conflict risks spiraling despite earlier ceasefire efforts. U.S. officials recognize that this conflict is directly related to the Iran conflict, but that negotiations are on separate tracks. Dateline Bunia, the Democratic Republic of Congo. The Ebola breakout centered in the eastern Congo region continues spreading rapidly, with suspected cases now topping 900 and confirmed deaths climbing. Uganda has also reported additional infections, raising cross-border fears. The World Health Organization warns the epidemic is outpacing containment efforts amid funding shortages and inexplicable local resistance. Well, there may be an explanation. I will not speculate on that, but these are nations that often want the deaths of their citizens. Scientists are racing to deploy new vaccines to the area. Dateline Arlington. The United States marked Memorial Day with solemn ceremonies honoring fallen service members. Israel issued a special message of solidarity, paying tribute to American troops who died in the recent Iran conflict. President Trump led observances at Arlington National Cemetery, emphasizing sacrifice and national duty on the nation's 250th anniversary year. Dateline Orange County. Officials declared the risk of a catastrophic chemical tank explosion in Southern California has been fully eliminated. The evacuation zone has been significantly reduced after emergency teams neutralized the threat from the damaged facility. Residents are being allowed to return while cleanup continues under strict safety protocols. Dateline Kiev. Russia has issued fresh threats of systemic strikes on Ukrainian decision-making centers in Kiev and has urged all foreign nationals to leave the capital immediately. The warning follows recent use of advanced Oreshnik ballistic missiles. Ukrainian officials report heightened alert levels as Moscow signals a new phase of intensified attacks. Well, so much for that ceasefire. There may be another one soon. Dateline Washington, D.C. Former Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard has, of course, officially resigned from her post, effective June 30th. Anonymous insiders speculate that her departure may coincide with final efforts to declassify key FISA documents. The move marks the end of her tenure, overseeing intelligence reforms as promised by the current administration. This observer wishes Secretary Gabbard the very best as she deals with her husband's sudden fight for his life against a rare cancer. This observer puts little stock in the speculations of anonymous insiders, but thinks that if Tulsi can get those FISA documents declassified before her departure, more power to her. We don't get her kind in Washington very often, and we could use a lot more. Another dateline from Washington, D.C. Several prominent 2028 Democratic presidential hopefuls are actively courting Senator Elizabeth Warren and her progressive network of supporters. Party strategists say that the outreach signals growing influence of the left wing as Democrats prepare for the post-2024 landscape and attempt to unify fractured factions. This observer wonders that commentators even refer to a left wing of the Democratic Party at all, since it seems to have no right wing. Dateline New York. Legendary jazz saxophonist Sonny Rollins, known as the Saxophone Colossus, has died at the age of 95. The innovative musician influenced generations with his restless creativity and powerful improvisations. Tributes continue pouring in from the music world for one of jazz's last true giants. Dateline Pyongyang. North Korea fired multiple ballistic missiles into the Sea of Japan in its latest provocative show of force. The launches come amid ongoing regional tensions and appear designed to demonstrate military capabilities. International monitors are tracking this activity very closely. Dateline Maranello, Italy. Iconic automaker Ferrari has officially unveiled its first fully electronic vehicle, marking a major shift for the luxury sports car brand. The new model represents Ferrari's entry into the growing EV market while hoping to preserve the company's performance heritage. Dateline London. An unusual heat wave has broken May temperature records across the UK and parts of Europe, with forecasters warning of health risks, especially for the elderly and very young children. India is also experiencing extreme heat, forcing authorities to issue stay indoors advisories. Dateline Viet Thanh, Laos. Emergency teams continued searching for 7 villagers trapped in a flooded cave system in Laos after heavy rains caused sudden flooding. Rescuers are racing against time and difficult conditions as hopes for safe recovery remain the top priority for local authorities. Dateline Sydney. A spectacular drone light show over Sydney Harbor ended in chaos when dozens of drones malfunctioned and crashed into the water. This technical failure during a major public event has prompted an investigation into event safety protocols and drone technology reliability. Well, I thank you for listening. Please join me tomorrow to once again grok the news. I'm Robert Gardner. Godspeed and God bless.